Good morning on our day 26. Hope you're all doing well so far. I changed my setting a little because I'm going to try a second attempt with the whiteboard. As this came up so strongly for me yesterday to show actually where this is all leading to. So far we have really been, well, let me put up the whiteboard. And I apologize in advance because it's still not a perfect setting. I hope it is better to read this time. And I hope I can guide you more easily through it than the first time. I still need a standard, so I don't have to hold it. But anyway, for now, it's more than fine. So today I want to talk about the empowered being, actually, the one here, how to get there. Because these 99 days of becoming more aware of yourself and aware of how you're connected to the world around you is not the only purpose. At least it wasn't for me. Because once you've become aware, then the next question that has come up for me strongly was like, okay, so what do I do with it? How do I express myself in such a way that feels authentic to me and is in alignment with myself, that's energizing me, that feels so natural to me, and at the same time can be challenging, but it's something I really want to bring forth here. And because to me it's like once you've become aware and you feel connected to all, it's not about you, the small you, the identified you anymore. It's about how you're going to live life in such a way that's in complete balance with the world around you. And looking at Earth right now, there's also a need to transform things, to shift into a new paradigm for humanity. But it doesn't have to be big, this empowered being. It doesn't have to show up big, like you're going to be the one on stage and you're going to be the strong, empowered being who is known all over the world and is really making huge transformations and big changes. It can be just very small, and your life doesn't really have to change a lot as long as it's coming from a different place. So it comes more effortlessly, and it's in alignment with your environment, and it's not just serving yourself, but it's serving others. So let me just get a few steps back, what we've been doing so far, and where between what stages we're constantly shifting. So we've talked a lot about the first stage, which I call the person mind in previous sessions. And that's actually where we live from the head, from the mind. We're not so much aware of our heart. We can be the empathic being who is really caring for others. So that's why I put the big heart outside of ourselves, because those beings aren't often caring so much for themselves. They're really completely at service for others, like they care all the time, take care of everyone around them, but they completely forget themselves. So there's still this big gap within themselves that's not fulfilled with love for themselves. So it's very out of balance. Or we have on the other hand, the persons who are very much in the mind, trying to control life, trying to be sure that they meet the expectations of themselves, that they will reach their goal which they have defined themselves in such a way that they make sure that everything is in place to reach their goal, but it comes from a very control mechanism. It's very driven by proving towards yourself or proving towards others that you're good enough. And it's very driven, it can be very driven by using power, like this command and control power, to make sure that everything goes right the way you would like it. And there's a lot of ego in this state, in the sense that you need to defend your identified self. And there can be this feeling of being very sure about how you see the world, being very sure about your belief systems, be very convinced that the values you have are the best ones. And so you feel like you're living really well, and actually you do, but it's often very out of balance because there's no connection with the heart here. It's just purely coming from the mind. Every action, every thought, every step you do is coming from the mind. So then you kind of move into the next stage, and people who are already caring a lot for others, and the please other types were really always concerned with their peoples around them. Are they well enough? Should I take care of them a bit more? I'm sure that they need this, so I supply that for them. They often are quite easily here, but then those people who didn't take care of them so much themselves have this big shock here, like, oh, but where am I in this? So then they open their hearts to themselves and find that there is a lot they missed for themselves. They did a lot for others, but they were not aware what they need themselves. And the ones who are coming from the mind, very strongly, and it's not very black and white, of course, just to make it a little bit more clear. And the ones who are coming from the mind and opening up to the heart actually go through the same process, like they have this sudden awareness that this sense of me is not the same sense. So that's the identified me, is not the same sense as the sense of me. So there is this openness to sensing and to feeling and to connecting to others from empathy that opens up. And so this process of becoming more aware is actually where I think all of you are in right now, if you're following these 99 days. And of course, you go back and forth between these phases all the time. And it just, because you're more aware, you're more aware where you are when you get into this phase again, because you get triggered by something and you go back to your control mechanisms. You easily go back into the mind because you want to defend yourself. You want to protect your heart again, unconsciously. And you use your defense mechanisms, which you developed unconsciously so well. So in this state of becoming more aware, we also feel more connected to what happens around us, but not connected from the mind, but connected from the heart. We literally open up to others. We don't feel so separate from one and the other anymore. We can already feel there's a connection. It's not just all separate beings working hard to get a perfect life for themselves, but we feel connected to if we send something out, we're more conscious of what we're exuding, then we see a reaction coming back from the other side, and we can be more aware of what that reaction means. Is it projection from the other person? Okay, then I just don't take it personal. I can more see and go to the other person and see what's actually needed underneath this projection. So you can then active listening to the other person and feel, without getting your little self in the way, just see, okay, so what do you need here? Do you need some attention? Do you need to be seen? Do you need to be heard in your story? That's okay. I can be there for you now. So that's what's really happening in this phase. So it's outwardly towards others, connecting from the heart, and it's inwardly connecting to your own heart. And obviously, we still use the mind. The mind never leaves us. It doesn't have to leave us because we actually strongly need it, but in a different way. So then the next phase is, and it's not divided, these phases. We just go in and out of all these 3 different states of being. And one is more dominant in one moment than in the other moment. But when we want to go into empowered being, that means that the heart here is the dominant factor in a sense. That is leading us. That's telling us what is in alignment with us, with yourself. That's telling you what is in alignment with you. What is it that really resonates for me? What is it that I want to bring forth here? So that's the empowered being who is connected to himself, to herself, to the heart, knows where the alignment is, knows when it's out of alignment. So this emotional guidance system I've talked about before. But it also is aware of what's needed around him or herself. So what does the world need? How can I be at service? But also how can I express myself in such a way that it's in alignment with myself, and it's energizing, and it's fulfilling, and it's not just being of contribution to the world, to life, or to your family, or to your partner, or to anyone you connect with. So to get here to this empowered being state, I actually split it up in kind of 2 things. It's not separated, but to make it clear what you're actually are. It's kind of 2 separate focus areas within your heart. So on the one hand, we've talked a lot about, and hopefully practicing a lot, with being present. That's the state where you connect to your heart, you take a deep breath, you dive within. There's this state of nothingness, presence, that you try to amplify, and where the chatter mind is slowly fading away or getting less dominant, not taking over. And you amplify this being presence. So that's one thing which is continuously, hopefully, continuously going on, because it needs to get more prominent within yourself. Because coming from this state, we were completely not aware that there was a present state at all. And if you want to be in this state, we have to be completely aware of our present state. We have to be in our present state to be this empowered being. So this continues during the 99 days and forever in your life. And it only gets stronger and stronger. So this needs to practice. The physical practice. Open up to senses, open up to your heart, amplify, amplify, amplify. Deepen, deepen, deepen. Until it becomes more natural. Until it's always there somewhere in your awareness while you're living life. And then the other aspect of being who you really want to be is actually where you can sense into yourself, within yourself, like, what is my color here? What is my calling? What am I here to do? And once again, it doesn't have to be the big person on stage who changes the world, like Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela, or name a few other big names. Not at all. But every person, every human being comes into this lifetime, into this life, with a certain flavor, you could call it, that feels very natural and very aligned to him or herself. And the interesting journey then starts. It's like, what is it that expresses me in the way that feels completely natural to me? And at first, it comes in like very high level definitions of, for me, for instance, it was like, it has to do something with connection. It has to do with people connecting to each other. And then immediately the mind comes up, so you're a networker, or you want to work with people in a big company and you want to create things together, you like want to work in project teams, or well, not at all. It's, for me, that was not the essence of connection. For me, there was the essence of this connection, or actually this connection, just really being connected with others and helping others to feel and be connected with others. So actually the work I'm doing now. And the other thing that always came very strong for me was authentic and authenticity. I always admire people who show themselves authentically. And I'm very sensitive when someone goes from the mind and tells this, like, I'm very good at this, and I'm really amazing at this, and look at what I've achieved in my life, and I feel great, and life is so fantastic, and yeah, everything goes well. And at the same time, I could sense the whole body energy exuding something else. And I felt like, that's not authentic what you're saying. It's just not you I'm hearing here. But for me, it was so difficult for many years to understand what was actually happening, why I felt so uncomfortable with this person, or when persons were acting like this, why I felt so uncomfortable in commercial environments where people were just bragging about themselves and not really showing up as themselves. And I later learned that it is this inauthenticity, what's a difficult word today, that I just pick up unconsciously at first, and now it becomes more conscious. Which, of course, is a very useful trait for my work as a coach, because I can immediately touch upon things when I hear it's out of alignment. So connection and authenticity were, for me, important things that I thought, like, well, in my calling, that what I bring forth here, it's around these two words. No idea how it will show up, no idea in what role it will show up. And it's not only necessary to see it as a working payment job, but obviously we all most of us work like a lot of hours in the week. So it really helps if we do work that really feels in alignment with us, because if you spend so many hours in a job and it costs you a lot of energy, you get into burnout or into stress illnesses eventually. Or you're a very strong person and you don't get that, but still it's tiring and it's not energizing you. Or you do have a job you really love, but you're not aware what it is you really love actually about the job. It just became your job because you did a certain education and you rolled into the first job and then into the next and next and next, and it all feels good. But you're still not the empowered being, because it's more driven from the mind than from the heart. Even though it comes naturally to you, it's not consciously coming from the heart yet. And if it really comes from the heart, we shine so much that it's overwhelming to ourselves. But I think many of us, even though we're very okay with our jobs and very happy with our jobs, we're very happy with our life, even if we don't have jobs, because we don't need to work, or we cannot work, or we don't want to work. Even when it comes from our heart and we can shine ourselves, we are really at service to others. It's not just service to ourselves anymore. It's just being there and shine your light and people around you will benefit so much from it, because in that space they can transform themselves, and they can open up to themselves, and they can do the same process that you went through without even a 99 days. It just happens automatically or unconsciously. So even just doing this whole 99 days and sharing yourself more and showing your light more, if we would all do that, or a big group of people would do that in this world, it would already change so much, because you're no longer projecting unconsciously anymore. You're no longer defending yourself to protect yourself, because there's no need anymore. But obviously, obviously, I think for many, there's always the question, okay, and then what's next? What am I going to do with it? Or am I going to just be happy sitting in my lovely home and be completely content with it, and just be a very good person, exuding very nice, balanced energy? And that's fine as well, if that's okay for you in this lifetime. Be this happy being. You don't have to be empowered in the sense that you kind of show yourself differently to the world in a new role that's fully aligned with yourself. But for the ones who do want to, this focus, these two focus areas, and especially this one, might help you to get more clarity on what it is that actually fits with you. What is your calling? And what are your natural talents? Everyone is born with natural talents. It's just that the natural talent is something that comes very easy to you. You either learn it very fast and faster than anyone else who's trying to learn it, a skill. So this is a skill, you could say, which comes natural to you. Like some people have the skill, they're just very gifted in talking, very eloquently. They've never learned that skill, it just comes natural to them. And some have a skill in showing creative arts, like they have a skill in drawing and expressing themselves or expressing their creative mind in beautiful drawings or paintings. Some have skills in, not skills, some have natural talents in just seeing the clear picture in one go. So when they talk with someone or when they look at an issue, they completely see the whole picture, and they can connect the dots. And then someone else can take that clear picture and translate it into something practical for an organization, for instance. So we all have natural talents. We learn them fast, better, and with less effort. That's a natural talent. And sometimes we haven't even learned them. They're just there. We're always there since we were a child. It was just... And because they're so natural to us, they're the things that most unseen to us. They're just there because we think, of course I have that. It's not something special. We all have that, they say then. Everyone is good at that, or everyone is good at that. No, it's not. That's something that you are more natural in than others. So finding your natural talents helps you to know how your calling expresses itself. So your calling is something which is more like this deep inner why, like this philosophical question, like, why am I here on this earth? And what do I bring forth on this earth? And if I die, I hope I will have accomplished this, in a sense, like I hope I have changed this, or bring this forth, or influences people with this in a positive way, or there's something that's coming very deep from within. So when you have more clarity on your calling and your talents, then this process comes more together into this empowered being. So this empowered being is the one who actually knows how to express himself and share themselves with the world, who is authentic in this expression because it's natural to you. So it's an authentic expression. It's not like a learned behavior in the sense like I'm pretending to be something. And of course, there's still the identity, but we're no longer attached to it as strongly as we were in this phase. So the identity is still there, your personality, how people recognize you, how your sense of humor, how you react to things unconsciously at first, how you communicate, your style of communication. That identity is always there. And that's also where the ego still is. But now, because it's no longer so prominently active there in a sense like I have to defend that identity. I have to take care of that so I don't get attacked by worldly problems or by the people around me. It's just a supporting identity. Like, okay, this is just me. I'm completely okay with that. And yeah, it's not perfect. And at the same time, in its imperfection, it is perfect because it's who I am and who I grew up and who I developed myself. And there are the drivers I put there underneath because we've developed certain core drivers who are actually so natural to us because we developed them in our early stage between 3 and 13. And these drivers we developed because we wanted to feel safe with our parents, the ones who brought us up. And knowing these drivers helps you to recognize what you need at first in your environment, in the context, to feel comfortable, to be able to let go of control and just be yourself. The drivers are not really, well, depending on from which perspective, it really helps you to get clarity on it. But it's not a necessity to become this empowered being. So the core of this empowered being is that you can live from your heart, which means that you actually reverse the way of how life works. So you no longer plan and take action on your planning and then make sure that the expected outcome will happen. Now you you literally sit still. You sense what's come up. And that's, of course, in alignment with your being and your calling. And what comes up like an idea or an insight or an activity or a name comes up or you suddenly see clarity on a problem you were thinking about and you kind of see the solution. That kind of drives you forth. And when it comes very natural, then you just show up as a being who comes from a pure, honest empowerment, not from a power that is forced upon, but something that's very natural. You have those little examples of, I don't know what her name is, but the Swedish young girl, the 16-year-old girl who did the first school strike to fight for the climate change. She's not doing it for anything in return. She's just very concerned about the climate change. And there's this very sincere, authentic power within her to go for this cause, to get attention to this future, which is in danger in her perspective. But the way how she shows up is in a sense an activist, but it comes very natural to her. It's not like I want to fight things, but it's more like I want to show things how we should change the world, that we should take action. So it's very different from activists who really force changes to empowered activists who come from an honest, like, care for, I'm caring for the future planet. I'm caring for my own future and my generation, which is her 60-year-old young ones. And I want to make sure that this planet is still there when I grow up and when I have children and grandchildren. So an empowered being feels very natural. It doesn't feel like it's someone who's trying to convince someone else about a right or a wrong. It's not like, I want to have my right here. I want to be right here. I want to force myself upon with my ideas others. I want to force myself upon others with my ideas. No, it's more like, well, this is what I believe in the sense like, this is what feels true to me. Not like a belief system. And it can be a belief system still. I mean, there's nothing wrong with belief systems. We will probably all still have belief systems we hang on to. But it will be nice to hang on to belief systems that come really from the heart and not from the mind because you just copied it as a child or as a human being from others without feeling whether it's all in alignment with you. So this calling work and finding your talents, you might think like, okay, how do I do that? And I suggested to one of you already, who's in one-on-one coaching with me as well during these 99 days, to just take these two circles, and well, I actually proposed it to him quietly different, but in this one, focus on this circle, and just when something comes up like that feels really alignment with you, then just write this word next to the circle. But just only when it comes up, not because you're going to think about it. How can I fill in this circle? What's really in alignment for me? Just notice during these weeks, just look back at your life and just sense like, okay, what's always natural to me? What feels in alignment with me? What feels I'm passionate about? What excites me? What did I always like as a child? And you can contemplate on it, but don't force it like I'm going to make a long list, because it then probably comes from the mind. Or think of events in the past that you really loved doing, or you really loved the experience, and what quality in it did you like so much? Like I mentioned before, the example of two people dancing in a sequence of perfection, like they really like almost become one because of their dance patterns, and they're so in alignment with each other that it's just one connected being. That just really, really excites me to watch, and it completely fulfills me with love when I see that. So think about these things and just write down. In this case, I would then write down connected dancing or dancing in flow, or so just try to feel what it is that touches you. So just think, and if you're the person who likes to paint, what is it in this process of painting that you love so much? What does it do to you that really like, you're not attached to the outcome of the painting, but what in the process is making you feel so happy or energizes you? Or what if you love plants and flowers and gardening? What in that process is what you love so much? To see something grow, for instance, or to see something blossom, or to care for something from others, help others, or plants in this case, to see it grow. That's what I really love there in that process. So just reflect, contemplate on things that are very close to your heart. And just write them down when it comes up. And then let it go again. Don't make it like one focus for tomorrow or for the next week. Just make a circle on a paper in the middle, and then you write the words around it when they come up. And the other thing that's just continuously going forth, of course, is the practice of being and connecting to the heart, feeling, sensing, opening up to you, to more awareness on your emotions, on your triggers, or anything that we've been discussing up until now so many times. So yeah, I think for now I'm gonna skip this word drive. It's here. I'm gonna remove it because it's too complicated. If I cannot show it you now, it's not really necessary here. Just see this identity as the person you are already today. Not the one that is forced, but the one that's just natural for you. Like if someone else would describe you, who would describe you like this? And then later, so he would describe you in either these two phases, but when it becomes an identity in this phase, in the empowered being phase, the edges soften of that identity. So you're more like a rounded person, like it's not so, some traits are not so strongly there anymore, but they're still there because it's part of you, but it's not your identity, you identified you. But it's not so strong there anymore. It's just, it's not there for defense, it's just there because it comes natural to you. And you copied it from your parents, obviously, because identity is created because in your early childhood, you looked at others and copied behavior. And from copied behavior, you made your own version of it. Or you contradict behavior you didn't like, and you made a version of that. So I hope this makes it a bit more clear. I hope it also gives excitement to go to that state of the empowered being and to live and to work towards living a life which is in alignment and feels empowering. Empowering in the sense of energizing and happiness and joy and laughter. And it's just the energized being, I guess, the shining being. Okay. Well, this is for today, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.